Bert, as a former prosecutor, is the language in, I guess, subsection 3, a district attorney or criminal district attorney, are you going to require county attorneys and district attorneys to bring immigration deportation cases?
I'm not requiring anything. I'm just saying they should have a policy.
What if they decide, as most of them have, to say, look, the United States government and the United States Attorney's Office enforces immigration law? I can tell you that as a practicing attorney.
Absolutely.
They do that.
Absolutely.
They do the deportations. They will go after the people that are smuggling aliens or aliens that are bringing in drugs or whatever you want.
Absolutely.
But the way I read it, you're saying this section applies to a DA. So if a district attorney in Midland or in Brownsville says, look, my jails are full, I got to deal with rapists, murderers, burglars, I don't have the resources to enforce federal immigration law.
I see where you're coming
from. Are they in violation?
I don't think so. I think the DA always has discretion as to what he's going to prosecute and not prosecute. But I don't think he should have a policy that says we're not going to do it in that context. But I think you're right. And I understand where you're coming from. There's a very, very fine line about that issue. And of the DA's discretion and the idea that I'm just going to have a policy where we don't do it because, number one, we don't have the resources. Okay, I understand that. The question is, if somebody perceives that to be a problem, and under this bill, going to get with the AG's office, they understand those issues and try to resolve them versus trying to have somebody just file a lawsuit.
But almost every district attorney in the great state of Texas has a policy of not enforcing federal laws because they have their plates full with state law and local law, and we're not. You're asking for resources and prosecutors and investigators if their policy is to not bring immigration deportation cases or to make inquiries into somebody's status if they've overstayed a visa or anything like that. It sounds like you're making a district attorney in violation of the law.
You know what? It is interesting that you brought that up because I will tell you there's been no district attorney that's going to talk to me about.
Well, I'm just now seeing your substitute.
Okay. Well, it was in the original
bill. Which I guess Mr. Chairman?
It was in the original bill.
I don't want to make a point of order on here.
It was actually in the original bill.
All right.
So no DA has come to talk to me. I haven't seen statements in the press by DAs. Maybe there have been, but I just haven't seen them in the clippings or in the press newses. And if, in fact, there seems to be a problem on that, I am more than willing to work with them on that issue. I'm sure the governor's office or Senator Williams would be as well. Okay. I think that's a good point. I want to make sure that's clear. But there is the DA always has that discretion of what they want to do. I think the reasoning for it being in there, you're trying to cover all possibilities. But you bring up a good point, and if the DAs want to come down and talk about that, I'd be more than happy to talk to them about it.
Well, in going to your position, which I greatly respect on unfunded mandates, I mean, if we're going to make our district attorneys and law enforcement agencies enforce immigration laws, we're going to be requiring them to be using precious resources on statutes that they don't want to have to enforce, that they feel should be the exclusive function of the United States of America and the United States Attorney's Office. Aren't you at all concerned about what this is going to cost local taxpayers?
Well, since I'm not requiring anything in connection with the enforcement of immigration law, I'm just saying that you shouldn't have a policy in place that says...
But every DA does. Do you agree or not?
Do you
know of any DA that wants to take immigration law cases?
There may be some. I don't know.
You don't know of one that does?
I don't know of any because I don't practice criminal law. And I don't work with the DA's office in that context. So, no, but what's interesting about your point is I think you're the first person, since this bill has been filed, and since my other bill has been filed.
Maybe not everybody's as smart as me.
Well, no, I think you're a brilliant lawyer, and you're a great legislator, and you pick up on that fact because you have experience and understand that from your area of the state. But at the end of the day, that hasn't been brought up as an issue about the fine line between discretion and prohibiting and having a policy of doing it for their office. So at the end of the day, I'd like to discuss that. I mean, I'd be happy to. As far as the unfunded mandates, it's kind of hard for me. You know, I understand. I knew somebody was going to bring it up. somebody's going to say, oh, my God, he's trying to get no unfunded mandates, but he's mandating all this stuff. Well, I'm not mandating anything. I'm just saying you shouldn't have a policy. You should leave it up to the officer who's investigating an offense. You shouldn't be having a system that says the officers, and we hire these people. We expect them to protect us and abide by and uphold the laws of this state and this country, and basically then say, except in this. I don't think that's right.
Walk with me then now how you would ask a law enforcement officer to make this inquiry.
I would ask them. I'm not asking them.
Do you understand the laws? Well, if they have a policy of not making the inquiry, then you're saying they have to now make the inquiry or they're going to lose all their state funding, right?
I'm not. I'm just saying the entity itself shouldn't have that policy. If the officer says, hey, I don't want to ask, I don't think I need to ask, that's up to the officer investigating that.
Do you have an omission?
I don't think it should come from somebody above them, whether it's city council or the police department, saying, hey, listen, when we stop people on the street or let's say, investigating a crime, whether it's a passing misdemeanor, whatever it is, that we should have a policy that you are prohibited from ever even discussing that issue in connection with that. I think that's not the right thing to do.
And I agree with you. And I think any city that has that policy is wrong. And right now I can tell you that every law enforcement agency that I know and every city that I know in South Texas is working and is turning over anybody that is lawfully detained for a criminal offense, and they're being turned over to ICE for deportation, prosecution, and sometimes they don't even get prosecuted on the particular offense because they're out of the country so fast.
Okay.